Hello, you see what's behind me, don't you? Yep, it's a chart. Today we're going to talk about paying off $30,000 in record time. But give me a moment. I'll be right back.
You know I'm a stranger, a willing.
It's your dividend friend. How are you doing today? Today, we're going to talk about how we can pay down $30,000 in credit card debt, not using, number one, a second job. Number two, not having to rob Peter to pay Paul. This is velocity banking, where you win every single time, but also is knowing how to use your positive cash flow in the right way. Now, me with my velocity banking methods, we all do them different and it's okay. But for me, I always start my clients with working off of their positive cash flow and going from there. Now, when I talk about positive cash flow, I'm talking about leftovers after your expenses are taken out. For these people here, you can tell this person here, their income is 4706, pretty good. Their expenses are 2949, but they have a cash flow of 1657. You may say, that's pretty good cash flow. But I don't know about you. Take a look at that chart. Can you see an area where they're bleeding at, where they're putting money towards a loan? Does anything just jump off the page to you? Okay, take a look at that. It's the Chase and the Discover card. They are actually bleeding. 322 for the Chase and 499 for the Discover card. They owe Chase 11592, Discover 17964. That is $29,000 that they're paying to run it down. But also remember, as they're paying on that every single month on an amortization schedule, on a loan schedule, number one is because they have all the interest put in the front of that. Remember, you're paying the bank all of that interest, and they're going to put a little bit towards the principal. Doing it this way, they're going to pay it off in 3 years or 4. They're not going to pay that thing off, but they're going to give a lot of interest in the meantime. With velocity banking, we eliminate all the high interest and we pay down debts in record time. That's number one. That's key. Let's go back to this chart here. Now we've identified their bleed. Let's go ahead and let's talk about this particular person. I'm proposing, they're not a homeowner. I'm going to propose a personal line of credit. Now I get it. You may say, which is false, oh my goodness, a line of credit, that's debt accumulation. It is not when you know what you have that for. The goal of a debt tool when it comes to velocity banking is we are working our numbers, we're working the money so that it works for us, not for the banks. Now, they do have to get a little bit of interest payment, but not as much as they were getting with the amortization schedule. So I propose to them, you're not a homeowner. You don't have enough savings account. Let's look at a personal line of credit. Now it's at 12%. With velocity banking, it doesn't matter because we're going to run down this debt so fast that the interest rate doesn't matter here. So this person said, hey, listen, you owe 29,556 in credit card debt. Let's eliminate that with a personal line of credit. They got a line of credit at 12%. You guys, I know right now that's just the prime rate to get it at. This person had really good credit. I'm going to put a caveat here when it comes to velocity banking. Remember, you have to be disciplined. You have to make more than you spend. Okay, that's the goal here. But as I look at your chart, I can probably detect where you're bleeding at and show you and help you. I offer consultations. Just hit me up, dividend-friend.com. We can talk about it. But if you can look at these videos, you can catch what I'm doing here. It's not hard at all. You're just working your numbers. Instead of looking at this person's, their credit, take a look at your credit. Take a look at what your bills look like. You know your bills, put your numbers in here. Do the math. It's going to work for you. So back to the chart. 29,556 is what they owe. Credit card debt. Because they took out a line of credit, we're going to eliminate that. No more need to pay $322 and $499 a month. That is $821. So we're going to eliminate that, freeing up an additional $821 on top of the $1,657. Now they have a cash flow of $2,478. But with me, all velocity bankers are different. The way I do it is I work off the positive cash flow. I tell my people, listen, show me what you're bringing in, show me what's going out. Now, for this chart right here, this individual, I can tell you what their expenses, that is their apartment, all their electric bills, their Wi-Fi, their streaming, it's all in there. They like to go to the movies. They got to go out with their friends. They like to get their nails and their hair done. That's all a part of that 2949. That's coming out on top. I'm just pulling from their positive cash flow. That's what I'm working off of. But as they become more comfortable, I'm going to move them over into moving all of their income into the line of credit and living off of that. Because you have a rainy day, because you have the line of credit, You can pull from that anytime you need to. And because you're throwing all of your income in there, you are eliminating the daily average as you're putting your income in there. But for now, as I said, I do it where I just work off of their positive cash flow. I don't want you thinking, oh, with velocity banking, with this method, I have to, rob Peter to pay Paul. Those days are over, you guys. You're living off of this line of credit. With this person here, we haven't taken away any of their fund money. They even have $100 in those expenses that there's in their savings account, because I don't want you to get to a point where you're like, I'm discouraged. It's like a diet. You feel like you have to be really, really lean and skinny. You'll do it for about 3 or 4 months. After that, you're back to eating that sweets, the starches, the flours. Look, I've been there, done that. Okay. With velocity banking, we take out all the things you enjoy doing. Then we work from your positive cash flow. We don't say, okay, now we want you to use all of this money for positive cash flow. No, no, no. We're going to consider the things you enjoy doing being a part of your expenses. So when we talk about cash flow, we're talking about cash flow indeed, what you have left over after you've considered all of that. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer here. If you will look and say, hey, I don't have to spend $300 a month on getting my nails and my hair done, maybe I'll go every other month, then you're going to have more money towards cash flow. That is your option. I think when you begin to see your debts run down so fast, you're like, you know what? I don't have to have that cappuccino every single day. I can put that towards my debt, but it's up to you. There's no second job required here. As long as you make the money you spend, you are a candidate for velocity banking and you'll be very successful. But it takes a disciplined person. That's with anything. Okay. So let's turn our attention to the chart. Here we go. Now we've taken a line of credit out, personal line of credit out, $30,000. We've eliminated this. Now we have an additional 821 for a total cash flow of 2478. That is going towards their bills to run down this line of credit of $30,000. Remember, there's no more bleeding, there's no more chase, no more discover. There's a personal line of credit. We're going to pay that off. Month one, here we are, 29,556. We're going to immediately take that cash flow and inject it in here. Okay. Once we do that, now the balance is went down all the way to $27,078. But because it's the cost to be the boss, cost of doing business, we have to give the bank their interest. Okay. So off the 2708, I'm taking that, I'm times by that 12% interest rate, divided by 365 for the number of days in the month. And I'm timesing that by 30. So I'm coming up to 267, a roundabout. You guys don't quote me on these numbers. I'm just giving you a roundabout figures because a lot of times there's a prime tied to it. But for the most part, you know that about 267 is your interest payment to borrow, to use this money here, the line of credit off of your balance. Okay. The good thing about a line of credit is that you're not paying off of this 29,000. You're paying off of what's owed. Okay. So 267. So now we have to add that back into the equation. So now we're at 27,345. But that's month one. We're all done with that. Another thing, whenever you do velocity banking, you do this line of credit, the minute you inject all of your income in there, you're actually satisfying the payment requirements. You have to say, I got to pay this, I have to pay that. I'm just trying to show you the interest payment going into that line of credit. I'm trying to show you, okay, then that is accounted for. So it's going to come off of your principal payment. Okay. So we're at 27,345. Month two, we're going to inject our cash flow in here again, 2478. Now, you guys, we're at 24,867. That's how much we owe. We have gone from 29,000 to 24,000 in 2 months. That is $5,000 gone. That doesn't happen when you're doing 322 and 499. You don't see those kind of numbers jumping. So now we're at this number here. But once again, let's account for the interest that has to come out of when we make that payment. The interest is going to be about $245. Okay. So now we're back at $25,112. I want you to see something on this chart. Can you see how interest payment went from 267 to 245? Because remember, they're working off of your daily average. On an amortization schedule, look, I've had them, I know what it's like. You pay the same payment every single month, one time every time. That's the goal. But with velocity banking, notice how their payments are going down. Another reason why you don't want to do a loan, because your payments will stay the same. As you bring down your balance, your required interest payment is going to go down. So take a look at it. We're at 25,112, month two. Check this out, guys. We're going in here the third month. We're going to once again take our positive cash flow, inject it in there, 2478. Now we're down to $22,634. We have paid off nearly $7,000 in 3 months. Not getting a second job, using your current income, looking at your cash flow. We're doing that. Once again, that 322 and 499, it would never have done that. It just doesn't work that way when you do amortization schedule. So here we are once again. Consider our interest payment that we have to consider the cost of doing business. The interest payment is calculated off of the 22,000. I took 22,634, times it by 12%, divided by 365. Like I said, roundabout numbers, 223 is your interest payment. Like I told you, because you've made this 2478, it's already satisfies your payment. I'm just trying to show you how there's going to be a principal and interest. They're going to take out their interest payment. So it's going to be, the rest is going to be applied directly towards your principal, which is great. You're applying about $2,200 towards your principal. Therefore, you can see how it runs down really, really fast, right? So I want you guys to look at that. We got our interest payment calculated back in. We're at 22,857. We went from 29 to 22,857 in 3 months. That is 1/4 of the year. You have paid down $7,000. Now, if you continue doing this, you will have this paid off in about 11, 12 months. You're done. That beats any day. Taking out an amortization schedule, paying that 322 and that 499 every single month. Now look at this individual. They are sitting here within a year's time. I want you to kind of think about it. They have 2478 positive cash flow. They haven't taken out a second job. They've just worked their numbers that work for them. And for those naysayers that say, well, you're taking out a personal line of credit, that right there is debt accumulation. Not when you know the goal is to pay down another debt. And the good thing about a personal line of credit is that when you pay it off, you can borrow from it again. So they're sitting on $30,000. Imagine if they had emergency come up, they can borrow from that line of credit and they would do the same exact thing working off of a payment just like this with their positive cash flow. That is sitting there. If you need it, you have it. You can borrow from it, pay it back, borrow from it, pay it back. When you do a loan, you just pay that loan. There's nothing in there that says you can get anything back. You're just paying back the loan. That is why I discourage people taking out loans, because it doesn't make any sense. But as I told you, when you look at my chart here, this person here, they don't put all of their income into their line of credit, which they very well could. But because they're beginning this process, I don't want them getting discouraged, getting lost in translation. So all I'm saying is that let me see what your income is, what your expenses are, and where your bleeds are at. When I find your positive cash flow, I'm going to work off of that. And as you get more acclimated to how velocity banking works, then I'll introduce things like, let's put the whole thing into a line of credit. Let's live off of a line of credit. That way, if you want to take a vacation, you can take the vacation because you know how you're going to pay it back. You're going to use your positive cash flow. You're just going to work your numbers the right way. And also, just to let you know, when we talk about lines of credit, this is what I like to consider velocity banking and the benefit of it. Velocity banking 101, I call it LLAE. You're basically leveraging a line of credit to accelerate debt payoff to eliminate high interest. That is what velocity banking is in a nutshell. LLAE. You're leveraging lines of credit to accelerate debt payoff to eliminate paying high interest. That's what it is. So I'm your dividend friend. I'm here until you win. I offer consultations. Look me up. I would love to help you. I just think playing with these numbers is great. Look, it changed my life, you guys. I was just trying to pay my bills and do all this and do all that. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing good. I'm above water. But actually, I wasn't, because I was just like, oh my gosh, I got to figure out all these bills. I got to get these bills done. And it's almost like you have no idea how liberating and how free it is to do velocity banking. And I always say, don't knock it till you try it. So once again, as I told you, you see me do your chart, put your numbers in there, see how your numbers turn out. And remember, once you do make your payment, you're eliminating having to pay a payment at all. But I'm showing you the interest that's going to come off of that payment. That way you'll see if I'm paying $2,200 in there, I'm satisfying my required payment. However, they're going to take off their chunk and apply it towards the interest because I'm borrowing their money. Okay, that's the way it works. But I much rather take a 12% personal line of credit, pay it off within 1 year's time, than to work with Discover and the Chase account for 3 to 4 years, paying them that bare minimum. At the same time, they are raking over the coals with interest. Got to do things differently. Okay. Well, I'm your dividend friend. I'm here until you win. So you win by leveraging. You win by LLAE. Okay. So look me up. You need my help. I'm here until you win. We'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.